So I have finished watching Star Trek Strange New Worlds Season 2, Episode 4, Among the Lotus Eaters. So this episode has two main plot lines. The first of which being Captain Pike's relationship with Captain Patel. So, are they just friends? Are they going to be more than friends? All that kind of stuff, his own insecurities about it. And then the other plot line, which is kind of the main plot line of the episode, is that Captain Pike and the landing party have to go to a planet, I believe Rigel 7, and recover Federation technology that they accidentally left behind on an away mission from 4 or 5 years ago. And they discover something very interesting on that planet. Actually, a couple interesting things. One member of the landing party actually did survive, because they saw 3 of them were lost, but one of them did survive. And that the planet is a form of radiation that causes basically people to forget those short-term memories. So, basically what they had for breakfast, what did they do yesterday. But it doesn't cause them to forget things like language, motor skills, even emotions to a certain extent are not forgotten. So that's the two main things of the episode. And those two plot lines are very well weaved together. Because, Pike does, on that mission, he does lose all his memories. But because of the gift that Captain Patel had given to Pike at the beginning of the episode before he, in his own insecurities, broke the relationship off, he still had that gift, which was a pendative form. I forget the exact term. But even with his memories forgotten, he remembered that that was a gift given to him by somebody special. So basically at the end of the mission, he realizes that Captain Patel does mean something special to him, and he doesn't want to not have a relationship with her. And they do repair the relationship pretty quickly, I have to say. But probably does help that Pike, apologized for basically, insensitively, dealing with his own insecurities about his relationships. That's probably what it is. But going to the main, not necessarily the main plot, the non-Pike specific plot. So one of the characters that they find on the planet is, in fact, a former, I want to say, ensign, who was on that landing party and Pike thought had died but actually survived. Well, he basically figured out how to protect his memories, i.e. there's a certain ore that blocks the radiation, and then he's able to position himself as basically the leader of that community, as I think the term he used, High Lord, but basically the king. And then there's another character who's a native of the planet who, he thinks he's fine with forgetting everything every day, but once he actually gains his memories back, because the castle that the Starfleet character Zachariah, or Zach, as Pike calls him, is hiding in with basically all the other residents who are considered the upper class, the elite. And once he's that one character in that castle for a long enough time, his memories return because that radiation is no longer affecting the ability to recall said memories and information and all that. Well, he's actually, you can tell he's like he doesn't want to deal with a lot of the grief and sorrow that his memories have brought him, has brought back, but at the same time he's glad that he has them again. He had convinced himself that not knowing was better, but once he got them back, he doesn't want to lose them again, which does make some sense. And then over on top of this, on board the Enterprise itself, they're also being affected by this radiation that's causing memory problems. The first case we see is actually Uhura, and I gotta say, why did this make me think of the episode of the original series where Uhura loses all her memories and it's never addressed again? At least in this episode, it's established that these memory losses are short-term memory losses if you can basically block the radiation long enough for your memories to return. But Spock does have a good idea of giving every crew member pads with their name and what they do in case they forget. Because somehow he forgot how to read it. So that didn't work when he lost his memory. But I do wonder if Vulcans might be more susceptible because one thing we do learn is that memories connected with emotions are stronger than memories not. So with Spock, that would mean, being a Vulcan and does his best to suppress his emotions, he doesn't have as strong of memories in some ways. Like things like he's passionate about, for example, he's actually not passionate about really because of being a Vulcan. But that's just a theory on my part. But the helmsman, the pilot of the Enterprise, whose name I need to look up real quick, Ensign Ortegas, when she loses her memory, like, she had no idea, and she, thanks to the computer, is able to find her quarters, and there she starts being able to put, just in that familiar space to her, put herself back together, and realize that, yes, she is a pilot, that she can fly the ship, and she successfully flies the ship out of the debris field, which had, I think, some more the stronger concentration in the radiation, which is why I think the Enterprise's crew gets so badly affected so quickly. But Spock was also able to, after all that, and part with the data that the Enterprise sensors collected, able to develop shielding to help block the radiation, and everything is all good at the end of the episode, because not only does on the planet Pike recover all the Federation technology, and also Zach for probably trial in the Federation code now, but he also takes the initiative to remove the asteroid that's emitting all that radiation from the planet, so that way the residents of the planet have a chance at developing their society, because you can definitely tell he's thinking, if only the elite can keep their memories, society will never develop if everyone else keeps on forgetting every single day. So there's a debate on, does that violate the Prime Directive? But at the same time, if the majority of the population loses their memories, how can they develop as a culture, as a society? They'll end up just stagnating. But that's just kind of how I would say that, yes, it is okay for Pike to do that. And established multiple times in this era of Star Trek, Starfleet captains are given a lot more prerogative in breaking the Prime Directive than in later eras of Star Trek. So I have a feeling in this case, it'd be like, okay, you reduce our contamination and you made it possible for them to grow as a society. They're probably like, okay, fine. Just don't do it again, and then it's all forgiven and forgotten. They seem to do that a lot in this era of Star Trek. Especially once we get to the original series, and Star Trek Strange New Worlds is definitely approaching the Prime Directive more from an original series standpoint than from a from a Next Generation series standpoint, which actually does make some sense. It's close in time to the original series, and back then the idea was more of, hey, we don't want to do anything to change your culture. You can do whatever you want, but we're not going to do it. That's more of how they approached it in the original series. Like, we don't want to change your direction of your culture, but we're not going to necessarily, let you die. While in the Next Generation, every single time somebody intervenes to save a society, it's like, no, and the captain begrudgingly has to do something about it. Yeah, I personally prefer the original series and what seems to be Strange New Worlds interpretation of the Prime Directive a lot more than the Next Generation era interpretation. But these are just my thoughts on it, the thoughts that this episode brought up for me. But overall, I did very much enjoy this episode. I'm not sure which episode so far has been my favorite this season, but we'll figure that out once all the episodes have aired. But in the meantime, thank you for watching, and as always, have a good day, a good night, wherever you are, live long and prosper. Thank you for watching this video. I do hope you enjoyed it. If you did, feel free to like, upvote, and share the video. Also consider subscribing and following the channel if you haven't done so yet, and to ring that bell on YouTube to get notified of when new videos release. The link tree in the description links to all my social media. Check it out if you are interested, and once again, thank you for watching, and as always, have a good day, a good night, wherever you are. May the Force be with you, always.